I think trying to make jiu-jitsu a spectator sport is kind of a waste of mental energy.
I want DeAndre Corby. You've got DeAndre Corby at home. Filipino. Are you Filipino?
Good evening, everyone. Today's educational podcast surrounds the topic of jiu-jitsu and the concept of a spectator sport. So a spectator sport is one that's approachable and friendly to the spectator, to the viewer. Spectator sports are mostly the sports you're thinking of. Basketball, baseball, football, soccer. These sports have huge audiences worldwide and have huge player bases as well. One thing that these sports all have in common is that they're exciting to watch. Another thing that they have in common is that they're easy to understand. When I kick a soccer ball and it goes into the net, that's a point. If I explain that to someone who's never played soccer, never watched soccer, never heard of soccer in their life, they'll be able to watch a soccer game with that knowledge, with that quick 10, 15-second explanation, and derive excitement, derive enjoyment from the game. Unlike these sports that I have just mentioned, jiu-jitsu is not that easy to watch. It's not exciting. On a large scale, it's not easy to understand. Therefore, I believe that jiu-jitsu will never become a spectator sport in the way that other mainstream sports are, and we should stop trying to make it a spectator sport. Like I mentioned earlier, jiu-jitsu kind of sucks to watch, but it's so much fun to do. There are so many little intricacies that you're thinking about when you're rolling, when you're practicing jiu-jitsu, that don't necessarily translate to someone who's watching. Maybe if you really understand the positions that the two jiu-jitsu athletes are in, as a spectator, you can kind of put yourself in their shoes and maybe get some enjoyment out of that. But if you're not used to jiu-jitsu, there's no way to conceptualize these positions, and you can't really gain enjoyment or excitement from watching a jiu-jitsu match. So let's spin back the clock and look at one of jiu-jitsu's biggest contributors to growth, which was UFC 1. Now, UFC 1 was started by members of the Gracie family, largely to promote the sport of jiu-jitsu and to prove to American audiences that jiu-jitsu is the top martial art.
It was more of a quest that my family had to find out which style of martial arts is the best. Other people says their style is the best. We say ours is the best. There's only one way to find out.
They sent in one of their best members of the family, Royce Gracie, and he annihilated the competition. This was a very exciting tournament to watch, very new, foreign ground for American audiences. But this was largely exciting because jiu-jitsu wasn't the only martial art present. The premise was so easy to understand. Whoever beats the other guy up wins. But that isn't the case with modern jiu-jitsu. In modern jiu-jitsu, it's all about scoring, it's all about submissions. There's no gore to the extent that there was in UFC 1. And the most exciting parts of UFC 1 didn't even involve jiu-jitsu. So people talk all the time about how jiu-jitsu can become a spectator sport. I talk about this because if more people watch jiu-jitsu, there will be more money put into the sport, and then more opportunities will arise for people who, like you and I, love and train jiu-jitsu. The athletes will get paid more. More people will start to earn the money equitable with the amount of work and time they put into the sport. Currently, that's not the case. People can train their whole lives, train for years, reach the highest level of competition, and still not make a livable amount of money. But my proposition, the goal of jiu-jitsu being a spectator sport currently is not the end, it's the means to an end, with the end being the growth of the sport. So that's our main goal. We've established that the growth of our sport is the main goal, but we're hung up on making jiu-jitsu more spectator friendly and more exciting. I propose we stop. We stop thinking about that. What we should really think about, in my opinion, is to get more people to train jiu-jitsu. Because training jiu-jitsu is a hell of a lot more fun than watching it. Everyone who watches jiu-jitsu and enjoys it trains jiu-jitsu. But not everyone who trains jiu-jitsu watches it and enjoys it. So why are we trying to grow this smaller population, this subpopulation? We should be trying to grow the entire population of jiu-jitsu practitioners. I think once we have more people practicing jiu-jitsu, we will indirectly grow the viewership and spectatorship of the sport, because once more people understand the positions and understand these intricacies, they'll be much more likely to watch and understand the highest levels of competition. So, how do we get more people to train? I'm still hung up on that one, bro. I just think we need to show people that it's fun to train. It's like when you're teaching a little kid how to read and you try to tell them over and over again that reading is fun, but they won't really understand until they start reading and then like actually deriving enjoyment themselves. You can't tell them that it's fun. They have to do it and want to do it. So jiu-jitsu community, my parting words are this. Stop worrying about the spectator friendliness of the sport of jiu-jitsu. That alone won't grow the sport as much as if we focused on getting people in the training room. I think that's all I have for you today. Be on the lookout for more educational podcasts surrounding jiu-jitsu and combat sports. I'm Kai, and the sun's going down, so I must as well.